Hello and welcome to the next tutorial on the Kurzweil Forte stage piano / workstation / synthesizer. In this video we will look upon multimode. In multimode you have up to 16 zones to stack up programs or to control external devices like synthesizers or sound modules or any MIDI capable device. I would recommend that on stage to play in multimode only, especially if you play with external synthesizers or sound modules, or also if you want to switch your Forte from an iPad with an app like SETLIST Maker or something like this, then it's way easier to stick to multimode because you only have to send program changes then and don't have to mess around with SYSEX to change the modes, program and multimode. So I recommend to stay in multimode. The second thing you want to do is to set up a multi-template. I stored my multi-template on multi-4000, where all the controllers are turned off and all the effects are turned off, so that I can start with a clean sheet when building up a new multi. It is way easier to start with such a clean multi and turn on all the controllers you need and the effects you need as the other way around. So I recommend to use a multi-template. Let's go to Edit. Let's have a look at the pages in multimode. The first page is the overview page we are right now. Let's add a new zone, a fifth zone. You see zone 5 out of 5. With the channel zone buttons, you toggle groups of 4 zones. Let's delete it again. And we are back. On the overview page, you have the volume of the zone, the panning, the key range, which is reflected graphically. You have the name of the program and the number, and you can activate and mute the zone here. The next page is the main page. On the main page you have various different options like transpose, the destination, local, MIDI and local, and so on. The output, so per zone you can route it through output A or B. You have the program change, band settings, velocity settings, all of this per zone. The next is the controls page. On the controls page, you set up all your controllers per zone in multimode. There are two basic controllers. Continuous controllers like the sliders, the wheels, or the continuous control pedals, and switch controllers like the buttons or the switch pedals. So let's enable the sustain on zone 1. Push the enter button and the sustain pedal, and it jumps automatically to the switch pedal 1. Enable MIDI CC, and you see here 5 parameters. The destination, sustain is 64. The on value, the off value, which has to be 127 and 0. And this is important, the entry and the exit state. What does it do? The entry and the exit state determines the state of this controller for all zones when you load and when you leave the multi. So the first 3 parameters are per zone, you see it here, and the last 2 are for all zones, entry and exit. A sustain pedal cannot be open and closed at the same time, of course, or a switch. So this is for all zones. The first 3 are per zone. Let's load up a different program, like just the first piano program. Go back to the controls. And let's say we want to enable the pad like in program mode. So push enter, the variation button, activate MIDI CC. The standard destination is 29 of the variation button. You see pad enable here. And now the entry state is interesting, because if it's off, then the pad is not activated when you load the multi. If it's on, then it is activated. So let's just activate it. Deactivate. Note that there are two options for switches, toggled and momentary. Momentary means it's only on if you hold it, and it's off if you release it. Toggled means like a toggle switch, on, off. In program mode, the volume of the pad is controlled by the mod wheel. So let's say I want to control that by the expression pedal in the multi. Push the enter, wiggle the expression pedal, MIDI CC, and we don't want to use it for expression, but for pad volume. Enable the pad, and now I can control it with my CC pedal. Simple as that. Continuous controllers, like the CC pedal, like the sliders or the wheels, have different options. They have the entry and exit value, just like the switch controllers, but they have a scale, add and curve parameter. The scale just means how far the controller goes. So if it's at 100%, it goes from 0 to 127. If it's on 50%, it goes from 0 to 64. If it's at 200%, it reaches 127 if you're halfway through. You could even push it to 300%. Add just adds a value. So for example, we want that the controller goes from 64 to 127. Then we have to add 64 and reduce the scale to 50%. And it goes now from 64 to 127. The third parameter is the curve parameter. Usually the controllers are in linear mode, but they can be in compressed, they can be expanded, and so on. A lot of options here to shape your controllers. You can achieve various different kinds of controller mappings like that. Also in CC controllers you have an entry position and an exit position. Note that you see here the entry position is 0, and this means the actual physical position, not the CC value. The physical position is 0, and that means a value of 64, because your add is 64. The next page is the effects page. On the top row you see the 16 MIDI channels, only 4 activated right now, of course. Note that these are MIDI channels and not zones. So if you happen to have your zone 1 on channel 3, then the zone 1 will appear on 3 here and not on 1. Keep that in mind. The next row is the enable row, where you enable or disable the insert effect of the program in that channel. You see, on the first channel I use 8 of the 16 units this multi uses in total. The next two rows are the AUX1 and AUX2 sends. If you want to use a send effect or an AUX effect of a program, you can use it, set the override to no, and set up the channel of the program which you want to use for the AUX effect. If you want to use the AUX effect as a standard send effect, like a reverb for example, switch the override to yes, load up a reverb like a real nice verb, and now we have the mod override. With the mod override you can adjust the global level of this send effect with a controller, which you can set up here. If you just want a send effect traditional sound effect, just with the levels here, leave it to on. On means just 100%. So now you can per channel send your zones into the sound effect. So let's have a listen. Deactivate the pad. Bring it in. Even more. And over the limit. Let's stick to 20. And that's how you set up a basic sound effect in multimode. If you want to use it like that, don't forget to set up the mod override to on. You can route your aux to a different output here. So you could even use it with an external effect and send just the zone to out B to use an external effect. The next page is the common page, where you just set up the multi-tempo, the clock source, as well as the KB3 channel. So if you want to use a KB3 program in a multi, you have to use it on the channel which is set up here. The next page is the riff page. I will cover that in a different tutorial. Then you have an ARP, so basically a classic ARP and a step sequencer per zone. You can save your ARP preset here. You have new zone, duplicate zone, import zone, delete zone. The audio in settings, so you can either use the global mode effects or use multi-specific effects. So an effects chain that is just used in this multi, or the global one you set up in global mode. You can delete your multi here, and you have always, on the end of the screens, you have always the help page. So we have the edit, which is actually quite important, toggle entry and exit in overview page, solo the current zone you're working on, import zone, program ARP, so if you want to import the ARP that is stored inside of a program, you can import it here, and FAF10 is always the help page. So let's get back to the overview page. We just learned FAF2, switches, exit, entry. FAF3 is the solo, and FAF1 is the edit. So you can edit a program in multi-mode. You can also edit the effects chain here. FAF1 is edit. So that's all for now on the multi-mode. I hope you liked it. I hope you got something out of it. I will include a link to my multi-template into the video description. So see you at the next tutorial. Goodbye.